Hi everyone, this is Caroline Speaks, The State of Our World, on Saturday, September 5th, 2020. Well, what is it? Well, the coronavirus is still with us, and that hasn't changed. We have over 6 million people who have passed away from this virus. As of earlier this evening, the total confirmed cases in the United States was 6,254,341 souls. And also 189,323 people have passed away from this virus. That is a real tragedy. All these lives, all these souls. Now, due to mismanagement of the pandemic, the coronavirus, which arrived on our shores, either from Europe or China or both, East Coast, West Coast, and maybe even was here as early as October, November 2019. Now, our President Trump did not cause the virus. He did not create it, but he did not acknowledge it when it arrived and manage it with a national lockdown, national mandate to wear a mask in public, a national mandate to do social distancing, national mandate to only go out when you have to, national plans to get all the personal protective equipment, ventilators, respirators, tests, everything you need to confront this virus. He did none of those. He and his administration, who knows why, it seemed whatever they did, they only think that where they can make a profit, and they've done terrible things, and so we're stuck with the fatalities. Now, in addition to the coronavirus being here, and we all know we have to do, we have to practice social distancing, wear a mask when in public, only go out when you need to, and look after those who are vulnerable to this virus, those in retirement homes, nursing homes, assisted living homes, veterans homes, those living in shelters, those who are homeless, whether living on the street or in shelters, those in jails or prisons or in detention centers, the essential workers, the farm workers, the agricultural workers, the healthcare workers, anyway, the first responders, all these people. And so we're trying to do that, and that's coupled with the racial injustice that's always been there since this country started, before it even was a country, but is now coming to more to light, being acknowledged by more people with the murder of George Floyd in Minnesota by a white police officer. And that's happened, since that happened a few months ago, there have been protests ongoing for criminal justice reform, police reform, and fair treatment of all people in the justice system and with the police and the law enforcement officials. And then we also have another problem. We have the post office is being attacked and harmed and sabotaged by Trump and his people, like his current Postmaster General DeGioia and the Board of Governors of the Postal Service. They're taking apart mail sorting machines and throwing them out. They're removing collection boxes, those blue things you see out there on street corners, and meant to collect the mail. Trump believes that if people mail in their ballot, too many people do that, Republicans, and he will lose the election. But he himself does do his voting with a mail-in ballot, as do a lot of people in his administration and in the Congress. So we need to get a Postmaster General and a Board of Governors for the Post Office who actually care about the Post Office and will reverse and rescind all these orders to destroy the Post Office, and all these policies should be reversed. The Postal Service should be restored to the way it was before all this started, and let's start getting our mail again and our packages and everything else, and let's repeal this law passed in 2006 by a lame duck Republican Congress that had just lost the majority in the House of Representatives in the general election, and they wanted to do as much damage as they could with the time they had left. And unfortunately, that was in 2006. And then they did that in 2006, we're still under Republican President Bush. And then in 2008, we got a Democratic president. But when he came in and he had a Democratic House, majority in the House and the Senate, they did not reverse this law, and that should have been reversed. So we need to reverse that law. It required the Postal Service to pay retiree benefits decades in advance. It also prevented the Postal Service from engaging in other types of business. And there are other things they could do, and they should be allowed to do that, like postal banking for people who are locked out of the banking system because the big banks are shutting down banking services for poorer people and minority people, and it's forcing a lot of people to go to check cashing companies, and it's very bad, and it's expensive. So you need to restore things to the way they were, and also include services that benefit all of us. Now, so we have the post office crisis, we have the coronavirus pandemic crisis, we have the racial injustice crisis. Now, the mail and everything, so all this has to be fixed. Now we're learning that Trump's attitude toward people who serve in the military, currently serving veterans, those who have passed away while in service with the military, he just thinks they are trash. He calls them losers and suckers, and he has no respect for them, and he's supposed to be the commander-in-chief. How would any right-thinking person choose to stay in the military service or enlist to be in military service, knowing their commander-in-chief thinks they are garbage and has no respect for them, doesn't want to do anything to help them, thinks that they're his tools to play things, to do things with around the world. So it's very bad. And there have been a lot of articles written since this came out on Thursday, a few days ago. This is the 5th, I think came out on 3rd, in Atlantic Magazine. So of course he calls it fake news and the magazine loser and all that stuff. So then there has been an opinion piece written by someone whose wife was killed in Iraq, and he was treated very well by the president. Typically, presidents go to Dover to meet the those who have served, who come back, no longer alive, goes to meet them. Well, he hasn't done very many of those, but he did that for this soldier, for this man who wrote an opinion piece, basically complimenting Trump. So maybe Trump has done some good things for service members, but for the mass majority, he thinks they're all suckers and losers, and he got out of serving during the Vietnam era by saying he had shin splints, got a doctor's note for that, and the doctor actually had his practice in a building owned by his father. So how reliable is that diagnosis? So anyway, he got out of serving in the military, and and a lot of other people went in his place. So we have a lot of things to think about. We have an election coming up. Make sure you're registered to vote, and make sure you familiarize yourself with the issues that will be on your ballot and the candidates who will be on your ballot. Okay, hang on one second. All right, the song I think I'll sing this evening is called World of Her Own, written by Tom Springfield of the Springfields Trio, and it's recorded by the Seekers of Folk Group. Okay, here we go. World of Her Own. Close the door, light the lights. We're kind, staying home tonight. far away from the bustle and the bright city lights. Let them all fade away. Just leave us alone, and we'll live in a world of our own. We'll build a world of our own that no one else can share. All our troubles will leave far behind us there, and I know we will find such peace of mind when we live in a world of our own. Okay, that was World of Our Own, written by Tom Springfield and sung by the Seekers. So, I think maybe it's time to say good night. Thank you for tuning in this Saturday evening, September 5th, 2020, for a meeting with Carolyn Speaks, The State of Our World. And hope you'll all be back here again tomorrow evening. Stay safe, take care of yourself and others, wear that mask, practice social distancing, only go out when you have to. And remember, kindness goes a long, long way. Kindness goes a very long way. Thank you. Good night. Hope to see you tomorrow. Good night.